Hey everybody, this is Eric with the DrumAddict, and I'm here with my buddy John Hoff from DrumLCK. John, how's it going, man?
You know, it's going well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I love this. Your channel. We've been commenting on each other's stuff for a while now, and I'm happy to finally meet you in person, dude.
Likewise. It's kind of surreal, isn't it? You're
Yeah,
like,
it is. It is. Yeah.
hey, that's a
Yeah.
real guy
I
over
talked
there.
to my wife about people I've met through YouTube and stuff. I'm like, I guess this guy's kind of my friend. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty great.
yeah. We've never fought about anything, so I guess
Yeah.
we're not enemies. So
Yeah, man.
so we're friends.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, super great to have you on. I've been looking forward to this chat that we're going to have today. So let's start with the obvious, okay? That everybody asks in every interview. How did you get started playing the drums?
Yeah, long time ago, right? We're old.
Yeah.
um, when I didn't start till I was 10, little late. I have students now that are, 5, 6 years old that are already playing full songs. So like, I look at them, I'm like, man, I wish I had 5 years more practice,
Right.
So I was around 10. I started in like school band, like concert band. Um, I wanted to play trumpet, but the teacher was like, "Nah, we need a drummer," so I did it. And then I didn't even know if that's what I wanted to do. But then my best friend had gotten a guitar and was like, "Yo, let's learn "Smells Like Teen Spirit" because it was the '90s,
Yeah.
And we did. And then from there on,
Nice.
it went off. Yeah, just school bands, and I think my first time in a like legit recording studio, I was probably like in 9th grade, 10th grade recording.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, yeah, being in like the Philly area, Philly, like I grew up like 10 minutes outside of North Philly. So like there's a lot of really great opportunities. And even in like school band, that took me all over. I mean, I left the country to play drums because of school band.
Oh, wow.
So I owe a lot to that. Just, private teachers and everything. And it just grows till it's out of control.
Right. And do you feel like even now, since you've played since you're 10, do you feel like you're still learning?
Every day, yeah. I teach drums. I'm a professional drummer. It's all I do. No day job. Um, and teaching drums, really keeps you on your toes. Like I'm constantly buying like I just bought a new book that just came out about hi-hat patterns. I have no idea what it's going to be like, but I'm going to check it out. Just being able to teach a little bit of everything.
Right.
um, like rock is my thing, and anyone that can play rock really well can get through metal or funk and things like that. But then you get to jazz, you have to go learn certain things like that if you want to teach.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, man, I kind of went off there.
No, that's okay. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. And it's funny you say jazz. Jazz has never been my
right.
strong suit,
That's what every rock drummer says. Same with me. But when I started studying with Bernard Purdy, one of the things he told me was, traditionally back in the day, like he's what, in his 70s, so he's talking back in the day. You started with jazz, and then you went to Latin, which turned to funk, which turned to rock, and that's the order everybody did it back then. And now, probably since like the 80s, it's been backwards. You start with rock,
Mm.
which kind of makes more sense to me because it's easier, right?
Right. Yeah.
But the problem, but the problem is like you get rock down, that's great, and funk is awesome, like that Chili Peppers funky rock vibe.
Yeah.
Um, but then like people nowadays just don't want to go to Latin or jazz. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't want to get a lot of hate, but jazz is like dead. Like I tell all my students they're getting ready to go to, pick music colleges, and they're picking jazz programs like Temple in Philly or wherever. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna go learn a lot of jazz performance and everything jazz, but you're gonna get done, and there's not gonna be a single gig for you.
Mm.
The
So
few
it's
jazz gigs in the city are probably taken by the instructors at the jazz college.
right. Yeah, no, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Latin language of
Yeah.
music. It's like
Right.
nobody's
Right.
really speaking it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I mean,
but I
that's
think
just like around here. I'm sure they're like if you go to Nashville, I'm sure there's some crazy jazz bands in Texas and New York, and Snarky Puppy's doing their thing, which is amazing.
right,
But like your purist jazz guys hate that,
right,
because it's like prog. But
right. It's kind of its own evolution of jazz,
right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
versus traditional jazz.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's really cool.
I'm not a jazz guy. I suck at jazz. Like I'll be the first one. I know enough just to teach basics of jazz, right?
Gotcha.
But I've taken a few jazz gigs, but I'm not, you know, going crazy playing like Buddy Rich songs and
Right.
uh,
Oh gosh,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, Buddy Rich. Wow. I mean, you could just talk about that guy.
forever, right? So I not to turn it back on you, but I'm gonna. How did you start?
Sure, man. I was actually 12 when I started, so I
Nice.
got a little, behind, where you were starting. Um, and school band. I had, there was this kid I think I was in the 6th grade, and there was this one kid a year ahead of me. He kind of had longer hair, and he'd wear Def Leppard t-shirts, and
Yeah.
always had sticks. He's like twirling them and tapping on his knees and on his desk. I'm like, that is a cool dude. Like that looks so fun. I want to play drums. And so I was like, hey, mom and dad. So we rented a little snare and just started with, the basics, and
Yeah, same.
started taking lessons like that with the band. It was a small private school. So like we didn't really play. Well, we didn't play anywhere outside of the auditorium there at the school.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then that led to drum lessons on a kid at a local music shop. And mom will still tell you today, she's like, I never had to tell Eric to practice. I just love it. And I had like a hiatus for a little bit just due to some life stuff. But I've always loved music, and
Yeah.
feel like if I put more time into it, I could be way better than I am. But I'm growing, and I just love expressing myself through music, through the drums.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. Like just from watching your channel, how long has your channel been around? It's been a couple
Just
years.
yeah, it was 2 years in March.
Yeah, so I've been watching you since the beginning of that, and
Awesome.
I can see you're getting better for sure.
Cool. That's the
As
direction we want to
teacher
move
in
in.
me, I love that. That's my favorite thing about these YouTube, this YouTube community that we're both part of, and I just love. You can really see, watch one of your favorite YouTubers' older videos and watch how much they grew in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, and
Yeah.
that can kind of like motivate you a little bit. That's what I do. When I'm
Yeah, no, it is good. It's exciting. And I think that's, you said you're always still learning. I think that's the mindset that you have to keep,
yeah,
because there's always more to learn. You can always do it better than you did it.
yeah, and there's always something new.
Yeah.
Somebody's always pushing boundaries. Like we were just talking about, Snarky Puppy pushes that jazz boundary, and like there are
Right.
so many drummers out there that you just watch and it makes you want to quit, right? So, so like I'll
I
take those
know.
videos, slow them way down, and see what they're actually doing.
How did he? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's simpler than it sounds.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's just fast. Yeah.
Now you've done this on your channel. Speaking of slowing stuff down,
Hmm.
you've got is it Play the Legends? Do I have the title?
Yeah, I'm calling it "Learn the Legends."
Learn the
For
Legends.
now, I'm only 5 episodes in, so we'll see where it goes. But
Well, I know you'll take what sounds like a really complicated solo or
uh,
piece, and you'll break it down stroke by stroke and
yeah,
play it like at a third of the tempo or something.
for sure.
And
Yeah.
that is very helpful for somebody like me who is a visual learner as well as
Yeah, totally,
hearing it
man.
and seeing it. What made you want to do that?
Um, so YouTube for me is like this push and pull thing. Um, just to throw it out there, I'm not the biggest fan of just doing covers and covers and covers. I find myself kind of like today, right before we jumped on, I'm like, what am I gonna? I got to record some kind of cover tomorrow. What can I learn tomorrow?
I've had those weeks, yeah.
And it's like I kind of use the covers. I would do one a month if it was up to me. It really is up to me, right? But I
Technically,
did
yeah.
that for yeah. Like I'm more about the educational side for YouTube. Multiple reasons. Just because I feel like it's hard to explain. Like maybe I'm a better teacher than I am a drummer, you know, which isn't like bad for anybody that feels that way. That's a great thing, you know. Um, so like I feel like for me to leave my mark, instead of putting like the 50th Leonard Skinner cover up on YouTube, maybe do something that's not on YouTube, you know.
Sure.
And if I can teach 5 people something they've always wanted to learn, it's a win.
Nice.
And so far with that Learn the Legends things, I did Lars and Tommy Lee. They're pretty popular. Like they still keep getting views, and they were like a while ago. But recently I started doing them again, and I did Bernard Purdy, John Bonham, and Trey Cool. And the John Bonham one, like obviously, if you do anything Zeppelin, people are gonna watch it. That went to like 5,000 views like pretty quickly, and then just kind of like died off, right? But it's pretty cool. It's also pushing more. I'm getting more subscribers now that I'm doing like more educational stuff. But you know, I get comments like, "Let's get a cover. Let's get a cover." So I'm trying to find that happy medium, you know. So I'm thinking like 2 a month, 2 covers, 2 lessons a month, so 1 a week.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think
a lot of work,
that's
you know, man. It's
oh,
like,
it is. Yeah,
those are 10-hour edits. Those Learn the Legend things, you know.
Oh, I know. That's another thing I was going to comment on is the time that goes into not just you learning it and breaking it down for everybody, but the video production that goes into everything that we see and hear is outstanding.
Yeah, well, it's fun, you know. It's tough, you know. My wife's like, "You gonna come out of the basement today?" Like, maybe.
That's right. I might.
Yeah. So I mean, I really enjoy it. You know, yeah, it's tough. Like right now, I'm working on my 2nd book, trying to get YouTube once a week, and I got like 35 students a week. It's just it's a lot of drumming. I'm drumming like 6. It used to be like 8 to 10 hours a day. Now it's probably like since 2020, 6 to 7 hours a day, really.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, the books are tough. Writing. You know, I wrote my first book during the lockdown, drum book, Paradiddle Boot Camp, and it was way harder than I expected. You know, like I wrote the book, I was like, "Oh, cool," and then the publisher's like, "All right, now I need you to write like a little paragraph for every single example," and I was like, "Oh God."
Honey, can you write? Help me? That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, man. Just trying to keep busy with YouTube and offer something that's, you know, something that people will want to watch for over years, right?
Right.
Like, if you do a cover of a popular song right now, in 5 years, no one's going to even remember that song, you know?
Right. That's like, I try to just do stuff that I want to do.
Yeah.
You know,
what I want to see from you, man, start to finish, film yourself building a drum.
Oh, you know what? I actually have that. I don't haven't edited it yet. That's a hard word to say. I haven't edited. It's not together yet. Yeah. But I did the one we just recently did for Drumman 190.
The piccolo or the
the piccolo one. Yeah. So I did do I've got all the edits, the pieces for that. I'm like, oh, I need to put that together because I don't have a time frame on it. So I'm like, oh, that's right. I have material that I can edit, you know? And
right. Yeah.
But that is coming soon. And
awesome.
So let's first of all, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your education mindset too. Because I think it's good to see that. It's cool to see somebody that you know you're laying down the covers. So like we know you're a really good drummer, right? And then you're breaking it down. You're making it all accessible to everybody from any level of playing. And it's almost like being able to have a clinic in your, you know, just virtually, like when I'm ready to sit down and watch something with somebody who actually wants me to leave feeling empowered instead of discouraged. You know, I've been to clinics where it's like, oh, I'll never be able to play like that. Like that is insane.
Yeah. Like I went and saw JoJo Mayer in Philly years ago, and I was just like, watching him play for an hour.
Drool coming down.
Okay. And then he says stuff like, "I've never practiced a drum book in my life," and I'm like, that's probably a lie. And two,
Never.
like how?
That's funny.
He He's
Oh, go
the
ahead.
greatest drummer in the world, in my opinion. He's
Gotcha.
unreal.
I'm not too familiar with him. I'll have to go check out some of
Oh yeah,
some of
dude.
his stuff. So, in terms of the teaching, what books are you currently using, or are you finding that are like really good for people to be working through?
Yeah, man. Well, the first thing I like to do, like here, I'll just do this with you. Give me a few things you wish you could be better at.
Um, okay, let's see. There's a lot. That's why I'm taking a while. It's not like I don't know.
Everybody always says speed, right?
Yeah,
Speed, fills,
yeah,
and adding bass drum to fills is something I get a lot, which starts getting into that linear fill thing. Um, but book wise, like for that type of stuff, like the one answer nobody wants to hear is stick control. But
yes.
it's the answer. Like if you open the book stick control, open that first page on the inside, whatever that's called, jacket.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Who reads books?
We're going with jacket. Can I get this on my Kindle? What's going on?
Yeah. So on the inside cover, it's like quotes from all these famous drummers, and it's like guys you would never realize use stick control, and it just makes you understand that everybody used it back in the day. It's like Chad Smith, Dave Garibaldi, like
Oh, wow.
all these heavy hitters,
That's the book I started with too when I started taking
everybody.
lessons.
It was written in 1935, and it's still the most
Wow.
popular drum book.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's tough. The problem with stick control is it's a 30-minute exercise. You're supposed to play the whole page, each measure 20 times without stopping. Takes about 25 minutes or so. It's hard
Gotcha.
work, but it is so worth it. You're gonna learn all your rudiments that way.
See, and I'm guilty of the microwave mentality,
Yeah.
or the driving range mentality. It's like, why do I want to hit a ball over and over again when I can go out on the golf course and play, play the game?
Yeah.
And it's like I struggle with the sitting down to just practice technique.
Yeah, practice one thing, right?
Yeah, because I want to play with the song. I get it, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something I need to work on for sure.
Yeah, my thing is, what I always tell my students is, there's two things, right? There's a difference between practicing and jamming. Jamming is really like playing something that you already know, that you're comfortable with, and that you're doing it just to have fun. And that's super important to do, right? To play songs you already know and just have fun and smile behind the kit. And then practice is where you're working on something you're not very good at and you want to get better at it. A combination of both is ideal. So if you're practicing 3 days a week, maybe jam 2 days a week and practice on something specific 1 day a week,
Gotcha. And that sounds
something-
manageable.
Right. Yeah.
I think for anybody, it would be like, okay, if I can jam 2 out of 3 days, I can discipline myself this one day.
Exactly. And like, even if it's only 15 minutes of like an exercise on a drum pad, everybody has 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like last night, I was playing for an hour on my drum pad while watching an episode of Lost. You know what I mean? Like, you can find the time.
Right. You might have to multitask, but you can.
Sure,
but you can do it. You can
We're
do
drummers.
it. That's good.
We all multitask already.
My mom used to tease me. She's like, "You're a drummer," and it amazes me that you can get all 4 of your limbs doing something independent, but you can't walk up the stairs, without. And I'm like, I know. It's the weirdest thing. I have all this coordination and then none. In this department, I tripped over our dog stairs today for get them up to the bed, and I'm like, those have been there for 3 years. Like, how did I just today trip over them? So it's but that's encouraging though, and I think you're right. It should be fun, and sometimes it's not fun to sit down with a pad, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left.
Yeah.
And so I think to balance that out but it's important. Like, I'm not downplaying it, but sometimes I think, especially new students or new beginner drummers,
Sure.
they want to be a rock star. We want to be rock stars. Like, we want to sit down and be like, just cranking it out. So it's harder to sit and, and make sure your sticks are the same height.
I actually have a few students that are teachers, and a lot of times we talk about how to be a better teacher. And, when you have the hardest thing is when you get like a 6-year-old kid who's never done it, and they have ADHD and they're all over the place and they're playing the loudest instrument in the world, you know. You're trying to talk and they're just like, ah. But you know, with the first lesson or first second lesson, I really try to make sure they can leave playing a song, whether it's Billie Jean or Seven Nation Army, just going dun dun dun, something
Right.
really easy, you know. And then they get really excited, and then they come back and I go, oh, you know, it'd be really cool if you could do this, and then I play something fast, and they're like, whoa, how do you do that? I go, this is how you do it, and we go to the drum pad. You
Yeah.
start training them young, and then when they're our age, they don't care because, you know,
Yeah.
it's not boring to them. But
Right. That's awesome.
So for it to get around the boring aspect, like something with stick control, everyone thinks it's boring because nobody's ever been taught how to do it on the drum set. Everyone just does it on the pad, right? But you know, what's on the page is not the only thing you can practice. You know what I mean? Like, okay, now let's play page one, but we're gonna do a samba pattern on our feet while we play page one on the pad or something, or let's play page one, but put our right hand on the ride cymbal. See what happens.
You kind of start with just experimenting. Yeah.
You're gonna find some patterns that you really like. You know. Yeah, that's cool. The advice I typically give for.
Yeah, no, that's good. I love it, and get a win in their corner, right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that does push you forward to be like, oh yeah, and even the stick. And I think when you love it, if you get bit by that bug, even the unfun parts become enjoyable because you want to learn more and you want to get better.
Right. And you know, we also have something that you and I didn't experience when we were young drummers coming up is YouTube. And just the fact that you can, or Instagram, any of that, you can watch the best drummers in the world play something insane anytime you want, can be a little discouraging for a lot of people, you know? Like one of the things, Drum Man 190 and I were doing that podcast for a little bit. One of the things I noticed was a lot of the old school drummers were saying they can't watch those videos. It just messes them up, you know, mentally.
Interesting.
Even I think Benny Greb even said he can't spend his day watching videos because it's just gonna. What's the, you're gonna see something cool, but like, what's the point of watching a bunch of stuff you don't understand because it's so fast or like,
Fair enough. I mean, like I get it. And that's where it goes, bringing it full circle back to you breaking stuff down.
Right. Yeah. Man.
That's where it goes from, oh my gosh, to, oh my gosh, I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might have to work at it, but it's manageable now.
Yeah. And it's the same for me, man. Like when I'm learning this stuff to make those videos, I slow it way down exactly the way I'm teaching it and I figure it out,
Nice.
And then that's literally how I learn it. And you can learn. I'm a firm believer that anybody can do anything they want, no matter what. Like you have to want it, first of all. And second of all, it just might take a long time. If it takes you 3 months to learn the hardest song you've ever played, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm learning a song. Honestly, I'm learning a song right now that's so hard. It's been a month, and I'm still like halfway through it.
Right.
It's Tripping Billies by Dave Matthews Band.
Okay.
It's just, there's no hi-hat pattern, right? He was jamming, and he plays it different every time live. So like,
no. Oh. It froze up there.
Oh, there you
are. There you are. Okay. So you were talking about, and we've got like, also we'll cut this a little bit out, but we've got like 9 minutes before it kicks us out.
Okay.
And then if that happens, I'll just send you another link and we'll break it into two pieces. Totally. So go back to talking about the Dave Matthews Band song.
Yeah, so I'm doing Tripping Billies, and it's just incredibly difficult because there's no hi-hat pattern. There's no pattern in ostinato. It's just, he plays on 1, the end after 3, random triplets on the next measure and beat 4. it's impossible to memorize. You know what I mean? He plays it
Gotcha.
different on the live videos every night, so he's just grooving, you know.
That's awesome though. It
So it
makes
makes
it
it
tough to
really hard to
learn,
learn. Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
but I can appreciate that, like playing the same song over and over again, just kind of wanting to,
uh-huh,
make it a little fresh for yourself as a musician,
right.
every night, but frustrating on your end when you're trying to break it down.
Yeah, man. To be able to teach it, you got to really know how to play it, like every note. So like, I'm a little crazy with it. I'll play up when I practice. Like if I make a single mistake, I go back to the beginning, play from the beginning. Make a mistake, I start over, play it again. And that's
Right, right.
that's my memorization process. So it takes a while to do that, but you end up memorizing it that way.
Yeah, I'll play the song on a loop, like while I'm out mowing or
That's
driving,
great too. Yeah.
and kind of just get it in my head. And then when I sit down, I'm working out the mechanics of what I know in my head.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know,
a subconscious thing as well. It's great.
yeah, I know where the breaks are. I know where all the
Yeah.
builds and stuff are. I just need to be like, okay, what's the best sticking for this, this fill here or whatever.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
But it's all about having fun.
The other way I do it is, find sheet music online or a book or something. Like if I like that Zeppelin thing I did, the John Bonham Learning the Legends, I ended up just buying a book that's like an anthology, like all their songs,
Oh wow,
um,
nice.
with the drum parts. So now I can do a bunch of John Bonham lessons or whatever.
That's
Um,
cool. Yeah, and he's
yeah,
somebody
man.
that everybody cites too. Like
Oh yeah.
unless you or me, I grew up a little bit different. Like, cause I didn't, so like I knew who John Bonham was at some point, but I grew up in the contemporary Christian music world. So like,
Hmm.
I was influenced by different people when I was younger, but I've not talked with anybody that's like that's not cited like John Bonham in their
Right.
top like 10 at least,
Yeah.
drumming
If not
influences.
top like 3,
Yeah.
Um, so if we're talking, you bring up the fact that people always say Bonham in their top 10. What's your like top 5?
Oh gosh. Yeah. So as when I started learning to play, I was big into a band called Whiteheart, and their drummer, his name is Chris McHugh, or was. He's not, obviously they're not together anymore. That was a long time ago, but that was like the mid to late 80s. And now he plays for almost every album that comes out of Nashville. He's
That's cool.
big in demand session player, and he tours and records with Keith Urban.
Oh, cool.
But because I love the band so much, and I had started playing drums around the time I got into them, just his style really kind of stuck with me, and he's just very no nonsense.
Yeah.
When you watch him play, he's just in the pocket, concentration, and just solid. And so I kind of bring my personality to that. I try to be as much of a pocket drummer, as I can. But I like to
Yeah,
get
that's
a
how
little
I
bit.
am too. I agree with that.
Well, I think that's like, I mean, I don't. This is kind of what I do right now, drum wise. But any times that I've been asked to play somewhere, it's not because I'm flashy and like amazing. It's
Right.
because
Yeah. Nobody gets asked to play anywhere because of their fills.
they're
Right.
like, hey, that was solid.
Yeah.
Like, come and play for this thing. We need somebody to keep us in time,
Right.
But yeah, so I kind of bring my personality to that. I can be very theatrical, and I'm like, oh, I don't even feel like I'm having fun. I'm just focused. So by the time I film it, I try to kind of just feel it and let the music speak to me as I'm playing, and not just be so worried about the exact, notes
Yeah,
that I'm
and that's
playing.
totally cool. I'm only crazy with getting it exact when it's something I have to teach.
Yeah.
Otherwise, have fun.
Right. Oh no, exactly.
Fun
Exactly.
is the most important part of this.
Absolutely. If it stops being fun, why are we like? What's the point? But
Right.
I still love it. I've been playing for a long time.
Who are your other?
Oh, I just talked about Chris, right?
I
I
didn't
didn't
say who are your other. Yeah.
So that's fair enough. Yeah, let's move on to another drummer. Then there was a guy named David Huff, who played with the band Giant, and his brother Dan Huff. Dan was a big session guitar player in Nashville for a while. He probably still is. And they both played with Whiteheart briefly, and also with Michael W. Smith, who's still around today. So those were kind of two of my big ones. And then as I've gotten older, I'm a really big fan of Josh Dunn from 21 Pilots.
Oh yeah.
I just feel like he's crushing what he's doing, and there's so much of it that's not just locking it down. There's so much of what he's playing that's melodic, and if you took him out, the song wouldn't even sound the same. I mean, it would just,
right.
He brings this musical element to it that not everybody is able to do. So I really enjoy that. I find that fascinating to listen to and to try to bring into what I'm doing.
Awesome.
And then let's see here. Gosh, yeah, I don't have a big list. I tend to gravitate toward just listening to drummers that I'm like, that's really good, and I feel like I could accomplish that. I'm like, oh yeah, and then, but I mean, not as a lazy thing, but like it speaks to me. Like there's some music out there that is so not technical is not the right word, but that like is, you know, crazy time signatures at odd places and weird polyrhythms that I'm not even smart enough to try to wrap my head around. So like I don't tend to gravitate toward that, you know. But
it becomes math at that point, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I do enough math building drums.
Yeah,
and that's really the only place I like it. It's,
yeah, man.
If my lugs are this long and my shell is this deep, how long do my tension rods need to be? You know. Right. Now, you're doing some drum building, right, John?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I've been wanting to do it for years now. Actually, like 3 years ago, I bought some really nice bird's eye maple that I'm going to be making like stave shells out of.
Okay.
Soon, but I wanted to get a couple of these made before I start drilling into the really expensive wood.
Gotcha. Yes, that's same. I did the same thing. Yeah. Mess up a maple shell, right. It's a lot cheaper than an exotic wood. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, these aren't too expensive. The first thing I realized is like after you buy all the parts, like you're not making much money unless you charge a ton.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard. You can't like it's you're spending hundreds to build it, right? People probably don't realize that.
And depending on the wood, the type of hardware, I mean, tube lugs are more expensive than like a rectangle lug. And
right.
What did you build back there?
The trick.
Yeah.
Just the snare.
Okay.
Maple, 6-ply maple, tube lugs, triple flange, but like the thicker hoop, and just like the standard throw off with. I use the trick butt plate because I've always liked those, and pure sound wires, right?
Yeah, love those.
Of course. Yeah, man, it's cool. I think I was telling you earlier, I got that shell from Drum Factory Direct, which is a little weird because their snare beds are really wide and like gradual instead of like a, you know.
Gotcha. I try to make mine smaller and a little bit more dramatic so that I don't have more head contact with the bearing edge. But anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do with my next shell I have over there that I'm going to do. I'm going to try that. So when are you cutting your edges?
I sure am. Yeah. We started. We kind of looked at it as a phase two, like a 2-phase thing. So the first few we built, I had the fine people at Precision Drum Company cut them for me, and then I just sanded the bearing edges. And I'm sorry, they cut the bearing edges, and I did the snare bed. And because it was more expensive to do the snare beds than it was to do the bearing edges. And I was like, I feel like that would be more time consuming, but it's not. So I get it now.
Right.
And then I invested in a router and a routing table, and had a friend of mine who was really knowledgeable with that stuff come over and help me kind of figure it out, learn it. And I bought a couple tests, just like 5x14 maple shells that I could jack up 10 ways to Sunday if I needed to. And we just started playing with with that and cutting the bearing edges. So right now we're just doing 45-degree bearing edges, but You know, it's just a matter of a different bit to do a 30 or a round over, or
Yeah. I know a lot of people do 45 on the inside and then like a round over on the outside, you know?
Yeah, we're doing, it's like, it's 45 on both sides, but it's a shallower cut on the outside. So it's only like 1/8 of an inch around the outer edge, and then like 1/4 inch on the inner side. So you get a nice, you know, nice little.
Yeah.
And I think they sound great. They have a lot of resonance.
Yeah. I just got my hands on some really cheap pine shells for $20, like nothing.
Nice.
Now, people don't make drums out of pine because it's a softer wood, right? And you're probably going to dent it if you hit it, and it's going to be quieter, right? Harder wood's louder. And, you know, I'm thinking about trying to mess around with it and treat the inside of the drum to make it louder. And then I'm going to do a rap on the outside just to practice doing raps. Because I have this marching snare right here. It's like, it's hard to see. It's like all dark blue, black.
Oh, look, I'm like,
and that's
I see it.
vintage dynasty. What's that?
Oh, sorry, we froze up there a little bit.
Oh, did I lose you?
Yeah. So tell me about the marching snare drum that's back there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got this dynasty snare, not this one with the stripes. That's an SJC just snare, but that's a marching snare that I got for free. So I think I'm gonna. I mean, it's old, and by a company, Dynasty, they're like a big player in the marching world. I reached out to them; they didn't even know what it was. So like, it's like first generation company, you know. So I'm gonna do a YouTube video soon of me just rehabbing it.
Nice.
I'm gonna do a new rap. So I want to kind of learn how to do those too, because you could at that point you could do anything you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I prefer.
It's true.
Drums that aren't like these, they're not wrapped. But then my like crazy expensive pork pie is a wrap, you know, so it's like whatever.
Right. It just depends on what look you're going for.
Yeah.
We did one not too long ago that we actually did a fabric wrap around.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was awesome.
It feels very different. You know, it feels like cotton on the outside. I mean, I wouldn't bang it around with, you know, like if it wasn't in a case or anything, but that opens up a whole new world of visual possibilities, you know.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so we have fun kind of being like, what can we do? You know, like how can we do that? And then so it's a lot of fun. Have you enjoyed the process of building the one you built?
Yeah. It can be frustrating, but like the lug layout on the first one for me was like pretty tough.
Gotcha.
But I got that map, the circle mat.
Yeah. Yep.
Tells you where to drill.
Yeah, which is great. If you're starting to build drums, do what John and I have done and go download this. I think it's from like, where is it from again? Is it from Drum Factory? That template?
There are a bunch of them. There's like a ton of them. But
get you one. It'll save you a little bit of math. But you should understand the math too, why they're placed where they're placed, in case, because I know if you get, mine goes up to like, I think I could do like a 15 or 16 inch drum on mine. So if I'm doing anything bigger or like smaller than a 12, then I'd have to like, you know, map out the angles and stuff. So I'll never do that.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Right. I mean, I would love to make like a bass drum, but like at that point, like who's going to buy just a bass drum, first of all? So,
right. And it's expensive, you know, from buying stuff for your.
Yeah. Like, so my pork pie kit, fully custom. It's the only one in the world. 6-piece, the bass drum. Like when I got the invoice, now I did an endorsement deal with them. Like at the time I was in a band that was signing a major record deal to Universal.
Nice.
And so he gave me a huge deal. So I got the whole kit for like, I don't think I'm even supposed to talk about it, but I think I spent around $2,000 when it would have been more like $6,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a killer deal.
Yeah. And I was looking at the invoice. The bass drum alone, the invoice number was $2,000 for the bass drum. So I'm like, I'm not making a bass drum.
Yeah, I've priced it out, and it's not. It can be cost prohibitive. And one of the guys that Precision Drum Company was telling me too, that back in the day, they would do 100% markup, you know, so like $300 for your materials, you'd sell it for 600. He said, but now you've got guys that like just are doing it as a hobby and selling it. So they're not even trying to make a lot of money. So they'll be like, I don't know, whatever, I'll mark it up $100. You know, so like,
that's what I'm doing. I'm going to mark it up like $50.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, you're competing with people that are able to do that, you know, so because everybody can get the tools and the materials are available. So it's not like before where, you know, just the big players had the corner on getting all that stuff. So it's a different.
But then again, you know, it's kind of hard to compete with, you know, you got a no-name badge like Adam Custom Drums or DW next to each other in the store. Someone's probably going to pick the DW, even if yours is better, you know, just for the name.
Right, so because it's brand recognition.
Is difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something. And we've been real fortunate, but it's tough.
Yeah, that's something you're doing really well. Like your brand recognition, like anytime I see one of your drums, I know right away, even before I see the tag on Instagram or whatever.
Oh, well, good.
I can tell, which is great. Yeah, like me, like I can't decide on a badge. That's the only reason I haven't put anything online, really, you know?
Gotcha. And dude, that was probably the hardest, hardest thing to figure out, because you go through certain places and they want you to buy 1,000 units.
So expensive.
Yeah, it's like, no, I don't have 10 grand to put into a badge. Like,
I know. Yeah.
What can we do that would look cool and unique? You know, so we're branding leather and staining it. And
I noticed that. That's awesome.
And I'm happy with how it's
burning it, or is it a stain or a burn?
It's a burn and a stain. So like we're burning onto like just like I think what they call it. It's like almost a white leather, like almost a yellowish color. You burn it and then stain it and then treat it and then either glue it or screw it into the shell. So that was a whole other thing to work out.
That's not going anywhere either. Leather, that's awesome.
It'll be there forever. Yeah.
Well, if you want, my buddy, so I don't know if you know, but I was in the military for a while, and you know, you have military friends that you just always talk to, right?
Right.
I haven't seen them in 10, 12 years, but you know, I still talk to them. And I have a buddy who's really like doing some advanced like 3D printing.
Oh, cool.
So I'm thinking about asking him to do some 3D print badges.
Very cool. Yeah.
So I'll talk to him, and if you want me to reach out to him for you, I will.
Yeah, I'd be
at that
curious.
point, it's like so much cheaper then. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because even the leather, like the branding iron for the leather, you know, was like $200. You know, and you're like, oh, okay, the leather's not so bad in the stain, but like, and so I sit out there, I cut them, and I just burn them, and I stay, and so I've got a handful of them. And it's,
I think 3D, like the 3D printing stuff, that's the future. So like, I might as well figure something out. Have you seen the 3D printed drums?
No.
I know, right? The dude from Panic at the Disco, he's like a local guy here. He has a 3D printed snare drum he uses on tour.
No kidding. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure it sounds just like the acrylic kits, you know?
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. That's awesome. That is super cool.
So, but I feel like it would take hours to build. Right?
Yeah.
like not hours, days. Like 3D printers are very slow.
Just to get the shell. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Totally.
No, that's pretty cool. See, because I was looking into like, you know, embossed badges, and it was just so cost prohibitive. I'm like,
I know. Yeah.
Especially for a new company, like you have no capital, you're just putting your money into it to try to push it out there.
Yeah, I haven't sold a single thing. I'm just doing it to learn, and I'm just using the drums that I've built, you know?
Yeah, that's tough too, because the other day my wife said, I see what you're doing. You're building all these drums so you can have them. I'm like, well, no, we're photographing them and making them available, you know?
Yeah. So what do you have that's ready for sale right now?
Oh yeah. Well, insert pictures here.
You probably should have said that in the beginning.
Yeah, we've got
that.
Yeah, head over to atticustomdrums.com, and there's we've got I think right now we got 4 in our what we call our dedication series. And then we've got one in our freestyle series. The biggest difference being like kind of the butt plate and throw offs kind of step up a notch. So we have kind of like standard indie stuff on the dedication. And then I think I've got, it's tightened and I won't move it, but got a trick drums throw off on the freestyle series. And then there's some other stuff that's in the works, but we got the Patriot out there where we're taking $150 from each drum and giving it to Wounded Warrior Project. So that'll be like a limited time thing. So I have fun trying to figure out ways to be creative with that and market and stuff too. But it's hard. I just want to create. I want somebody else to do the business part of it. I just want to do the creating, like.
Yeah, that's everybody in a band's like, I just want to write the songs.
Yeah. So I do the stuff that I think is really fun. So anyway, we can go back and forth about our drum building experience. But we will say Drum Factory Direct and Precision Drum Company are two great places to get your product, your stuff from if you're wanting to build a drum for yourself.
For sure.
And they're very helpful. I've had great experiences with the people over at both companies. So, so when you're not playing the drums, which sounds like there's not a lot of time where you're not behind a kit with a student or, practicing or playing, what do you like to do to just unwind? Which I understand that drumming can be an unwind thing too.
Yeah. It's my job, but it still is like my getaway a lot of times. Like yesterday, I just early in the morning played for 2.5 hours. Like I went down to practice for 30 minutes and looked at my watch like, holy cow, I gotta get ready for work. Free time though, really, playing with my bands and stuff. I'm in a bunch of bands right now. Another hobby. But yeah, dude, I just kind of try to relax, right? When you're playing drums that many hours a day, you're sore, you're tired, especially when I hit my 30s.
Yeah, right. Things start shifting.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So I like to watch TV or like Netflix, not TV. Nobody watches TV, but
right. That's so 90s.
I know. There's our age, but I'm like a diehard sports fan, like Philly sports, Sixers, Phillies, Eagles. I'm a season ticket holder with the Eagles.
Oh, sweet.
So if you're ever in Philly during football season, I'll take you to a game.
Oh, well, we just might have to make that a thing.
Yeah,
I'll make a trip to Philly to go check out a game in it. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. So yeah, all sorts of things like that. Like my buddy, I have actually like 3 or 4 of my friends are in the Philadelphia Eagles drum line, and they're auditioning right now. I'm like, I'd rather just be in the stands,
Yeah.
watching the game, not having to do anything.
Yeah,
but it's like a whole thing. I go like 10 hours early and get the grill, and I cook for everybody. We have like a whole group down there. And
oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that is so much fun.
Philly's pretty intense with sports, so like, the parking lots are full like hours before.
Gotcha. I grew up in New England, so don't hold it against me. But so like I'm a Pats fan, although I think I might have just been more of a Tom Brady era fan. I'm not sure, but most towns that have a sports team like based right out of that specific town are like really crazy about their teams, and that's how it was in Boston too. And I only got to see them play once, and it was like in Cincinnati. But at any rate, that football is the only sport that I remotely pay attention to. I tell my wife, I'm like the perfect husband. Like you don't lose me like for every Saturday and Sunday for all these different things. Just a couple games a year. That's all I need. Like I'm good.
I know.
And one of them's a Super Bowl. I don't even care who's playing.
Yeah. So when I met my wife, actually, I had the Eagles season tickets and she had Flyers season tickets. So and that's like what 40 some home games a year because they play 80.
Oh,
80. So we were going to a lot of games.
That's cool. That is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I love it. That's super fun. So sports.
Yeah,
so John's
that's probably my hobby. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably, I guess, sports and editing. I'm really getting into that. I just started doing like lyric videos for some of my groups, and
cool.
I'm trying to make all of this the hobby. So it's like if I don't want to play drums, I can get on the computer and practice or edit something that's going to get me better at editing. I think
Right.
for my channel, honestly, I just want to kind of be the channel that's kind of best at like the editing and the graphics and like things like that. So I'm working on. I'm not very good at it. I'm just like watching YouTube videos, learning something, and then applying it.
That's how I do it. I'm like, I'd like to do this, but I'm not really sure how. What are you editing in?
Final Cut Pro, which is
okay.
You know, people don't like it as much as like what's the other one? After Effects or
Premiere, Adobe Premiere.
What do you use?
Premiere.
Yeah. Premiere. Yeah,
and they're similar. I mean, the functionality is similar.
Recording.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're all super similar. But yeah, I do Pro Tools, Final Cut Pro, and for like when I have scrolling sheet music and stuff like that, I do that in Sibelius, which is just like a music writing software.
Cool.
What are you using? Pro Tools or use like GarageBand or?
I'm using Logic Pro.
Logic. Yeah. Logic is just the GarageBand is free, and Logic is Apple's like paid one, right?
Right. Yeah. And what's funny is when we started doing the DrumLCK, I was using well, it doesn't matter, but I had a friend of mine be like, "Hey man, I've got this 8-channel PreSonus interface that I don't need anymore. Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how much do you want for it?" He goes, "No, dude, just give me your address. I'll ship it to you." I'm like, "Cool." And then another good friend of mine was like, "What are you recording in?" I'm like, "GarageBand." He's like, "Oh, I'm coming over to your house and I'm giving you one of my copies of Logic Pro." And I'm like, "Dude, okay, cool, man."
Yeah,
so
Logic seems to be the future. That's what they're teaching in colleges and like Berkeley. Pro Tools is a pain in the butt. I pay like $20 a month forever, you know?
Gotcha. Well, that's how Adobe is now too. It's like a subscription. But I mean, I guess it's nice because then every time a new version comes out, you don't have to go buy it, spend $800 on it. You can just download it. So, which is nice. But so tell me about your kit back there and then we'll move forward. What's up?
So this kit right here, I have like 6 kits right now. It's a problem. But this kit is the Pearl Masters. I love this kit. Pearl Masters, similar to, what Chad Smith used to use back in the day. I think he's switched companies now. I think he's on DW now. But Zildjian cymbals, I see you too. I like the Zildjian Ks mostly. I have like an A custom thin crash that I just like the way it sounds and the Sweet Ride. But everything else is like K. I just ordered some new cymbals. Should be coming in tomorrow.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah, very expensive.
Oh gosh, I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. This kit standing up right here, I just got. I haven't even touched it. I got it like maybe a month ago. It's an old like 90s, early 2000s Sonar. But it's like one of their cheaper models. So that's going to be another YouTube video. I'm going to try to like refurbish that kit and see what it sounds like. It's got like terrible heads, just like kind of have fun with that. Got like a little beater kit over here that I use for like cover band gigs, like stuff that just chuck it in the car.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I bring like a cheap bass drum, cheap tom, and a really expensive snare to like cover band gigs. And then I got my pork pie and another one at like my band's rehearsal studio too, which is just like an old groove percussion that actually sounds amazing. I don't know why, but it does.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think heads and knowing how to tune a drum. I mean, and there's something to be said about good wood and nice, and well-cut bearing edges.
For sure.
But you can take a pretty crappy kit and even if it won't stay in tune, you can make it sound good for a little bit. And a snare drum particularly, I think.
For sure. Yeah.
Just crank that head, bottom head, and get that snare wire tight, and you're good to go, man. And you just tweak, or at least that's how I do it. Yeah. And then tweak the top.
Everybody does it different, Yeah.
Yeah. How do you tune a snare?
Yeah, man. Well, I guess it's going to. Okay, so the way I do it is for covers on YouTube, I try to match the song I'm covering. So I don't have a standard thing, right? In terms of whether the bottom head's tighter than the top head, yeah, I think so. I usually get the bottom head like, pretty tight, not crazy tight. A lot of people do it way tighter than me, and I just make sure all the lugs are matched, perfectly. And then the top, I just kind of go lower, start low, and work my way up till I get to a sound that sounds like whatever I need it to sound like. And that's where, you're in a good position to, like me, where if you have like 7, 8 snare drums, you can like, okay, well, on this Aerosmith song, Joey Kramer used a 14x7 maple drum. I'm going to start there,
Right, right.
Oh, dude, and I got to bring this up. I ordered a Ludwig Black Beauty, right? Tube lugs, hammered shell, like probably the best snare in the world, in my opinion. Last August, still waiting.
Almost oh, that's frustrating. Isn't that frustrating?
Yeah. And they're telling me like every 3 months, they're like, yeah, it's going to be another 3-4 months. Okay, great. And it's Ludwig. I figured a company like that would be shooting them out,
Yeah, right. Like, I guess everybody's having the same issues, that right now that everybody's having. Because I've been waiting on a hi-hat stand from Mapex since February, so.
Oh, geez, yeah.
I was like, oh, man. And when I ordered this kit, this Mapex Saturn Evolution, we were looking at a couple different colors. Oh, it is. Oh, my gosh. Hold on. I lost my ear. I talk with my hands, and then I yanked the. Yeah. But there was one finish we were talking about that was on back order, and it was going to be like 8 months before they thought they would have it, back. And I'm like, no, like, I like this other color better anyway. Let's go this route, like.
Yeah, when I was younger, and you probably agree with this, I just by talking to you, color meant way more than it does now. Like, I just want the drums to sound really good.
Right. Like, I'm a visual guy, so I want to look at it, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't sound good, it's
right. And honestly, with Mapex Evolution, that's a great kit. Like, every finish is going to look beautiful.
Yeah.
They're not putting out really anything that's crazy. Did you know Mapex is like huge, like everywhere but America? It's like Canada and Europe. They're like top companies.
Oh, I did not know that.
Same with Sonar, right? They're just not as prevalent in America.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah. They're great. I used to have an old Mapex Pro Maple kit, like one of their like midline when I was young, and it's the one kit I wish I never sold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would. They're oh my gosh, just forgot the title. Their Armory series, even look like I'm like, that's what actually got me looking at Mapex.
Yeah,
I was like, dang, these finishes are amazing, and I had heard lots of guys that were playing Mapex talk about the quality and everything. So I went with the Saturn Evolution, which also was a gift, which was crazy to me too. A friend of mine was like, hey, you were talking about this new kit. When are you going to do it? I'm like, I don't know, dude. When I can do it and not financially cripple Loretta and I for 6 months, And he called back a couple of days and was like, he's like, I'm going to buy it for you. I was like, dude, we weren't talking about drums so you would do that. He's like, I know. I just felt like I wanted to, bless you with something. I was like, holy, so like, okay,
wow. You have nice friends.
I guess, and I'm super appreciative, for, about it, but because it would have probably been another year before I could have which was fine. There was nothing wrong with the kit that I was playing, and and I was telling Loretta, I'm like, it's not a need. I have a perfectly fine kit. It's just it's a want.
Absolutely.
But anyway, that's super cool. And I do love your pork pie on the finish on that. I think I commented on it a few times.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Like, you were probably like, I know, Eric, you like the pork pie. You've said it every video.
No, man. No, I really appreciate it. Like, you comment and stuff. I really appreciate it. And I do, I make sure I watch all your stuff, and it's good.
Well, thanks. Well, and likewise, I'm a little behind. I always feel like I'm always behind. Like every 2 weeks, I get so far behind, and I feel bad. But it's like there's so much going on. But I don't want to not get over there because other people take time, and to support what we're doing. And so I like to try to make sure I get over there and see what's going on. And
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes people can have so much content that it's impossible to keep up.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I try. So like for us, I try to keep it pretty like easy to keep up with. If you missed a week, you didn't miss a lot.
Yeah. I try to do like once a week. I try to catch up on everybody's stuff. And
yeah.
If I don't comment, you should know I'm still watching all. If you comment on my stuff, pretty much everybody that comments, I click their name and look at their stuff. You know what I mean?
Same.
Like, just because, I don't know, it's the right thing to do.
Right. Exactly. It's a give and take. It's a give and take thing, you know, and building those relationships on YouTube.
For sure.
What advice would you give somebody starting out on the drums?
Starting out on the drums, get a teacher. That's a really good place to start. If you can't afford lessons, I totally get that. That's how I was when I was young. I would say Drumeo from the beginning. If you can't afford drums, maybe you just have a drum pad. Search stick control. You know, learn a single stroke roll. Look at your rudiments. Learn what a rudiment is.
Right.
We're in this unique time where, you know, if you can't afford a teacher, which is expensive, it could be like $200 to $400 a month, you know,
right,
depending on what's going on. That's a car payment. And I'm lucky. Most of my students are like, I drive about 30 minutes north, and it's a real wealthy area. So like, there's work for me. But, you know, a lot of people can't afford lessons. And if you can't, there is so much. Go to DrumLCK.
Yes.
You know, I would say if you're going to learn something from a video where you're starting out as a beginner, read the comments first. If the comments are mostly people saying you're doing this wrong, don't use that video. One or two people are mean. They're going to say stuff. But Drumeo, all of their stuff is legitimate. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
The Orlando drummer, the guy's name is Adam Tuminaro.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Badass teacher. Great teacher. And then also Stephen, oh my gosh.
Taylor?
Yep, Stephen Taylor. I interviewed him with Drum Man. How would I not?
I always want to say Tyler, and I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah, that's a different guy.
That's somebody else entirely.
But Stephen Taylor is, you know, I actually think he might be the best teacher of the group. He's a Nashville guy too, you know?
Yeah.
So those are great places to start. And if you're not comfortable with that, just watch videos of your favorite drummers. You'll learn something. That's how we learned, right?
Yeah.
Watch a music video on MTV. Wait for the 5 seconds they show the drummer. Like, oh, he's got his right hand on the hi-hat. It's not like this. It's like this. Maybe I should do that.
Holy moly! Yeah,
that's how we had to learn. You know.
Yeah, I wish that they had spent more time on the drummer in those videos, but
for sure, yeah,
absolutely. So I wanted to ask you about DrumLCK. What is the LCK? And tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so LCK is lessons, covers, and karma, because I'm Buddhist.
Gotcha.
But you know, the karma thing doesn't really. It's not really part of the channel. I just needed a word for K. But
I love it.
But really, the channel DrumLCK, it's just about, you know, primarily lessons and covers, give and take. But I am trying to go more that lesson route, like I was talking before.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn something, come check it out. If you want to hang out, just come say hi. You know.
Right, and there is lots of great stuff on John's channel. You won't be disappointed that you stopped by. So head over there. We'll put all the links in the description below. I'll try to remember to put a comment with that information as well. So they can go to your YouTube page. Where can they get a copy of your book, John, the Paradiddle Boot Camp?
Yeah, Paradiddle Boot Camp's on Amazon through my publisher, Fundamental Changes, out of the UK. And yeah, I think it's like $18, $19, something. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. That's not bad though. That's a good price.
Yeah. There's like, it's really just all about getting paradiddles on the drum set as grooves, not fills.
Nice.
If you can get through the book, it's not for beginners. I'll start there.
Okay.
But if you can play Paradiddle, you're good. You'll be okay. It's just going to take a while. And if you can get through it, you'll be a badass when you're done, for sure.
Nice. Awesome. I'm not just saying this because we're recording, but I'm going to have to go get a copy because I do want to be a badass. And also, and also I want to
thank you.
I think that's the, like, people, like we were talking about this earlier, like think rudiments just in terms of snare drum or practice pad. And so opening it up to the drum set and using it for fills and grooves is a very practical thing to do. So that's awesome. So we'll put links to the Amazon, to the product in Amazon in the description below. So go over now, subscribe to DrumLCK. I got it. DrumLCK. We've only been talking for an hour. I should have this down. So y'all head on over to DrumLCK, John's channel. You'll be glad you did. We're going to put all the links in the description below. John, thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. It's been a lot of fun.
Dude, thank you. I'm honored to be on your channel. You and I started around the same time, and I think we've been watching each other's videos for that entire time. So, I'm sure you're already subscribed to Eric's channel here, Drum Addict, but if you're not, do it. And really, go buy an Addict custom drum, because not only do they look cool, there are, other YouTubers playing your drums and they sound fantastic. Like, honestly, when Drum Man 190 played that red snare you made him, I was blown away. I just assumed it wouldn't sound like a DW, and it does.
And it does. Awesome. I like that. I'm going to put that on the website.
Yeah.
Sounds like great. DW.
Yeah. Do it. I'm okay with that. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. If you're watching an hour in, I really appreciate it. We both do. Yeah, it's been good. Well, we'll do it again sometime, and we'll of course we'll stay in touch as we do via the social medias and whatnot. Yeah. But you all, again, stop by John's channel. Everything will be in the description below. Thank you for stopping by, and we will see you next time. Thanks.